Greetings and salutations, friends. Welcome. This is my show journal for February. First, I want to thank everybody that signed up to become a new Patreon member this month. We had three or four new supporters sign up, so thank you. Your generosity and support is truly appreciated. So, this month saw a lot of changes for the show, and I hope most people will consider them changes for the better. Um, we really stepped up our production game, and that came in the form of some changes, both to the show set and still not sure I like everything being this bright, but I'm adjusting. Let's see. We've also added production bumpers for different show segments, better music. Really, the show just continues to improve. Thanks to your kindness, generosity, and support, every dollar that I get has been going back into the show. The Patreon funds allow me to purchase the lighting equipment to make these virtual sets work. Um, it gives our show a lot of new capabilities. So I want to thank each and every one of you for chipping in a couple of bucks to help the show continue to improve. Also, this month, we finished some projects that I had in mind for a while, like this comic disclosure, the clown puppets. I have begun a new episode of that, but I think we're going to keep those to 5 minutes because the joke sort of gets old after, I think the last one was 11 or 12 minutes, a little too long, a few people said. And I hear you, so we'll cut those to maybe a 5-minute video, uh, which is really great for something to laugh at. We also sort of debuted this two different masks this month, which was kind of fun. I used to enjoy when I was younger, like building masks and creature effects and things. So I thought, why not have some fun with the show and do something like that? And yeah, a lot of people, and yeah, it's sort of comedy relief. I spent so much of my life looking into, especially UFO and alien stories, that after a while, you really just have to laugh at them. You can't do anything else. Some of them are so ridiculous, like this Carrie Cassidy claiming that aliens want to fuck us and eat us. Okay, so let's have an alien respond and say, no, we don't want to do that. I thought it would be funny. It's getting good feedback. I think it turned out pretty well. And I have a few more in mind. I'd like to do Linda Moulton Howe, maybe Stephen Greer, and a few others, but I'm kind of struggling to figure out, I don't know, masks or makeup to make that work. I've never tried to make myself balder. For Stephen Greer will be a little bit of a challenge, right? But I think it's doable, right? You just need to study him. Maybe I need to put some pictures of him up, right? So that I get some inspiration on how to properly play Dr. Stephen Greer. And we see Greer is sort of making the rounds again, this time partnered with Third Phase of Moon. So we know the quality of the work that he's going to be doing with Third Phase of Moon. I don't know. Third Phase of Moon, their entire channel is based on fake videos, right? And fake stories. Not very credible, Dr. Stephen Greer, but it is what it is. I've had a bunch of people ask me to cover this Bob Bigelow on Joe Rogan, and I've listened to most of it, and there's really not much there. I could cover it in 5 minutes. He tells a few Bob Lazar stories. He screws up where he heard information from, claiming Bob Lazar said something about a holographic book when that didn't come from Bob. Near as I can tell, it came from Dan Burrish, a grifter and con artist that tacked on to Bob Lazar's story. There's not much to cover there. We have other rumblings like, they're going to release a triangle UFO photo soon, and it's going to change everything. Okay, here we go again, right? And these people always hype up these releases, and then the release comes, and there's no there. There's no smoking gun evidence. It's not world changing. It's just a picture of a fuzzy UFO somewhere, or a video of a fuzzy, off in the distance light in the sky, or object. It could be anything, a balloon. Once famously, somebody sent me videos claiming there's no way that this isn't aliens. And you know what it turned out to be? It turned out to be plastic bags flying around in the wind. So I think the excitement and the desire for some kind of smoking gun proof and evidence of UFOs and aliens is so great that people are willing to just set aside their critical thinking and their reasoning ability and accept the garbage that the garbage salespeople are out there spewing. I like to think that we're a little more realistic and practical here. And, I'm fascinated by some of these things and want to investigate them, but we have to be cautious and I can't stand all of these people that jump right to aliens. Dude, it could literally be a Mylar balloon from the dollar store that you filmed. Okay? Doesn't mean it's aliens, right? Could be drones, all kinds of things that it could be. So, and with all of these stories, I've come to realize that I really got to pivot away from the UFO and alien stuff. And so we're going to be covering some different topics: true crime, mysterious disappearances of people, unsolved mysteries kind of stuff, right? Well, we're calling it enduring mysteries. And also some of the history's greatest mysteries, like the Voynich manuscript, which we just covered. And I'd like to get into, we have this dark side segment now, and I'd like to get into some of these strange, sort of spooky, creepy stories, like the human-Z that we covered, right? The human-chimpanzee hybrid. And also human head transplant. Who would have thought that that's a real story? Human head transplants may soon be medically and scientifically possible. We're probably going to see that within our lifetimes. I'd say within 20 years. After all, the first so-called successful monkey head transplants took place 50 years ago in the year 1970. That's a creepy story, and I've been digging a little bit more into it, and we'll probably produce another segment on human head transplants. It turns out there's a lot more material out there about human head transplants than I originally thought. You just got to dig a little deeper, further back in the history of this strange subject. So, I guess the plans for next month, now that we've got, listen, it's taken a long time to get all this production stuff together. Being your own producer is no fun, So I'm hosting the show. When I'm not hosting the show, I'm researching stories. When I'm not researching stories, I'm editing videos and making music and working on graphics. And now that we have these virtual sets, these things take a little bit of tweaking and effort to get to look right. But of course, I'm not complaining. I'm just stating, like, there's no end to the work here, right? I guess, though, that's what keeps me engaged, right? I like a challenge. It's pretty challenging to try to do all this production stuff, be a good show host, be a good interviewer. It's a challenge. But I'm up for it. I keep continually trying to improve. But I think we spent this month sort of, like I said, upping our production game. Before, the show looked sort of dark and gritty. Some people said unprofessional. Okay, it wasn't professional set built on, $20. So now we'll have higher production value. I'm hoping for more. I have a friend who does sort of CGI animation, and he and I are talking about he'll be doing some sort of animations for the show. That will certainly add to our production value. But I've spent the month trying to work on those things, right? Get the set working right, this virtual set system, which does, it adds a lot of capabilities to our show. For example, if I'm talking about, You know, a space story, we can have a space background. Or if I'm talking about a haunted house story, we can have a haunted house background. Um, just adds to what we're able to do. It's one more sort of weapon in the arsenal of our show. But you know, I do hear criticism when it's valid, and people said, "Oh, the set looks too dark. It doesn't look professional." And this wasn't like just random people. There were a few people who did shows, and they have well lit shows that look more like this, right? So I guess I'm listening to the advice of people who have uh, bigger media presence on YouTube and other channels, other distribution platforms. But I think I've done what I can do. As far as production goes, I've done what I can do. There's a few more things on the audio side that I'm trying to work out, and I'd like to eventually have animated backgrounds behind me. Still going to try to work that out, but otherwise, I've done what I can as far as production, and going forward, next month's focus is going to be solely on finding and sharing and researching great stories. I did a lot of thinking about this, and I think that really, whether somebody chooses, at least for me, you know, I choose whether or not I'm going to tune into a podcast based on the stories that they're covering. If I like the story, I'm probably interested. If the story sounds interesting or mysterious or compelling, then I want to see it. And I think it's easy to get lost in the woods here. You know, let's edit videos for a full on month, right? Hoping that helps the channel. I think what would help the channel most is to return the focus back to uh, finding, researching, and telling and sharing great stories on the show. So there's my goal for next month. We have a story, we have a interview with David Halperin coming up about his book. That's on the UFO topic. Um, but most of the stories I think for next month are I'm going to try to focus on some other things. I've been working on a story for quite some time about the sort of urban legend of black-eyed children. Look it up. It's a creepy story. We'll be covering that on our Dark Side segment. We're going to do an additional show about human head transplant because I found a lot more material. And that rabbit hole gets crazier the more you dig into the actual literature that's out there and read about experiments that people have done or research that some of these, I hate to call them Frankensteins, Dr. Frankensteins, but you know, some of these guys have really done crazy research into this human head transplant. And we're going to cover that. I'd also like to get just a few more, if I could, guests on this Roswell Revisited series, and then we're going to wrap that up. I'm hoping to get a few different sort of ghost hunters, people that are into hunting ghosts and, you know, EVPs and some other things. We're going to bring more of that into the show. And I'm in talks with at least 2 different psychics who realize that I'm a little bit, well, more than a little bit skeptical. But, you know, I'm sort of promising them, like, hey, I'm going to have an open mind and I'm not going to beat you up in the interview or be nasty to you. You know, and my audience would appreciate a psychic coming on and sort of talking about their experiences and their psychic abilities. You know, but I guess when we get into, like, can I test you, that's when they sort of, like, aren't sure. You know, both of them were probably like 95% sure, I'll do your show when my schedule allows. And then I started talking about setting up some sort of tests to test their psychic abilities. Now they're not so keen on doing it. And I think that speaks a lot about their superpowers personally. But, you know, look, I'm trying to be nice and keep an open mind and get good guests. And yeah, and also not be so critical of some of these people and their experiences. Someday I'm still hopeful I'll find somebody with genuine psychic ability. I've been interested in that my entire life. And, you know, everyone I found turned out to be a fraud in one form or another and looked into, but I'm still hopeful that there's some out there. And I think that there are some for sure that like read tarot cards, and what they're selling people is maybe entertainment, but also just somebody to listen to them, right? You pay a psychic, you tell them about your problems, they're going to listen to you. And I'm just not so sure that what they give you back has anything to do with psychic ability, uh, you know. But during this health crisis, a lot of people are struggling. A lot of people are concerned about the future. So I've heard this from multiple people. There has been an uptick in um, demand for psychic services. Take from that what you will. I think it's because of the health pandemic and everybody being locked down and people concerned about their finances and their future. I mean, it makes sense. So we've got that going. We're gonna, if not those two, I'm getting some psychics. I've decided we're gonna get some psychics, even if I have to softball a few. You know, hopefully I can get some that would agree to multiple appearances, and I can softball them on the first interview, and then go a little harder at them for proof or evidence of their superpower claims in the second interview. And we'll see what happens. So majorly, I guess, the point of this journal is to sort of recount that I spent most of this month working on producing the show better. You know, I was reminded by a friend who I hadn't seen in some time. He told me, like, something like, I was always blown away by your ability to produce great shows. And he was talking about magic shows, but when I did that, we always had great lighting. We always had, like, cool lasers and stuff, and the show looked great, right? I'm not sure. I guess it was just a little unsure how to do this starting out. Coming from a radio show where nobody sees you to suddenly the visual aspect of the show is incredibly important. And maybe I missed that. Some people like the dark set with the creepy lights, right? I did. A lot of people did. So, you know, I'm not even sure that this is better. It's different, right? But I was reminded by a friend that, like, I am, when I stop and take the time to do it, I have some good ideas, I have an artistic eye, and I make a show look good. And I guess that's something that I had to stop. So a great portion of this month were me stop doing 5 shows a week, and just work on producing this thing so it looks and sounds the very best you can get it. I think that I pretty much hit the goals that I had for doing that, and now we're on to, you know, getting back to focusing on just great shows, great stories to share. And I'd like to spend a little more time researching. Honestly, I don't have time between the show and other things going on in my life. I would research a story for a full day, 8 hours, right? 12 hours. And I guess the demands of the show, especially when you're doing like 5 shows a week, you can't. I just don't have the time to pour that much research in. So I try to do what I can, but I always feel better if I'm going to talk about a story and I have immersed myself in all of the research materials and the evidence of that story before talking about it, right? Now, Stanton Friedman famously said, "Be sure to have facts in hand before putting mouth in gear." And I've been a little concerned, like, well, I'm not incredibly familiar with this story. Maybe I shouldn't talk about it or comment on it, right? Or offer commentary if I'm not fully informed. So I guess I'm hopeful there's going to be a return to a little more researched shows, right? And along with this comes the final realization that I don't think I want to do 5 shows a week. I'd like to, and if there is good material to do a show on that day, I will. And if there's not, I won't. Now, this becomes problematic because since I started the show, everybody wants me to have a schedule so that they know exactly when I am going to do a show, when they tune in live. And that makes me feel great, but it also makes me feel guilty because I have an incredibly hard time doing that. But I have thought that I may say we'll do shows Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 10 p.m. Eastern Time. I think we're going to try that next week. We'll see how it goes. And then along with Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, those are the guaranteed shows. There will be 3 shows a week, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. However, if I have time and there is like a breaking story, or I come across another good story and I'm sure that I can throw in an extra show without screwing up the scheduled Monday, Wednesday, Friday shows, then I will do that. You know, I can say this, the numbers were better when I was doing 5 shows a week because obviously there's more material there for people to consume, right? But then sometimes I thought, you're just doing a show to do a show. It's not even a good or great show. I'd prefer to focus on better shows and less shows. So the plan, I suppose, if I really commit to one, is going to be Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 10 p.m. shows, and then we'll probably throw in an extra here or there as time and material allows. So I guess I've ranted enough. I want to thank each and every one of you once again for contributing to the show. You really do make the show possible. Like literally everything that is running the show came from Patreon and PayPal donators. And I got to tell you, with money so tight, you know, that really helps because I don't have to like ask my wife if I can, you know, use some of our family's money for some webcam or lights or equipment. The show is supporting itself at least insofar as software, equipment, whatever it is that we need to do the show. And I can't thank all of you enough. It really does matter to me. And it makes me feel so good that people appreciate what I'm trying to do here. So thank you for being one of those people that appreciate what I do. The best is yet to come. I think we've improved things dramatically as far as production over this past month. And it's only going to get better, friends. With your help, I'll only get better. I guess, friends, until next time, I want to thank you immensely. You have my extreme gratitude for all that you do to help the show. It really does matter. So until next time, friends, good night, and God bless all of you.